Dodgers head up to San Francisco for a 3 game series against their bitter rivals. Let's talk about it. In this series, we're just going to go over the each individual game, how some players did, and some general trends that we're seeing in the early goings of this season. Game one featured a match of the two teams' aces, with Julio on the mound for the Dodgers and Logan Webb on the mound for the Giants. Mookie Betts leads this series off with a bang as he goes deep off Logan Webb in the first inning. Let's play a drinking game. Every time you hear me say Max Muncy hit a home run, take a shot, and we'll start right now as he blasts one to straightaway center to give the Dodgers a 4-0 lead. Wilmer Flores answers back a couple innings later, ambushing the first pitch off Julio for a home run. Mookie Betts adds to his RBI total with a single to drive in James Outman, giving the Dodgers a 5-1 lead. And Max Muncy does his best Deadpool impression with a maximum effort grand slam in the seventh to give the Dodgers a whopping 9-1 lead. And that will prove more than enough to start this game's off as the Dodgers win 9-1. Julio goes 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. A very good showing from him. Logan Webb ends his night with 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, 6 Ks, and a walk. Some early headlines about the Dodgers have definitely been about the bullpen, and I did want to highlight Alex Vesia in this game specifically. He allowed 3 leadoff singles, so he basically starts his outing with bases yacked, no one out. Will Smith goes on the mound. I don't know what Will Smith said to him, but Vesia changed something because he strikes out the next 2 batters, and then Almonte comes in and gets the next guy to ground out very quickly. This is like a moment, in my opinion, where I would like to see Vesia's season turn. You know, he's been inconsistent and struggling in the early goings, but this is this is a situation where I think he could like dig deep, find something, and just move forward as one of the Dodgers' more consistent and one of the more reliable high leverage bullpen pieces. We've seen in the past where he struggled before, but then he's streaky where he'll go like 20 innings and not give up a run, but then he'll have like 2 outings where he gives up 3 apiece. And he hasn't really struggled like this since the start of 2021. Last year, I think he had a handful of outings scattered throughout that weren't great, but overall he was lights out. But in the early goings of 2021, he was struggling. But obviously he came out of that just fine, and I think this could be that moment for him where moving forward, he just, you see a little bit more life on that fastball because that's really like he lives and dies off that fastball. If he's not getting it up in the zone, getting batters to chase, he's gonna struggle. So if he can, find that again, he'll be just fine. And I think he might have found that this series, and I think that'll be a common theme moving forward. So we'll have to thank the Giants for that. But that's all I have for game one. The offense looked great. Julio looked great. The Dodgers, every facet of the game looked spectacular. And then 24 hours later, it all comes crashing down. And Dustin May goes on the mound for game 2, facing off against old friend Alex Wood, or I guess current friend to many of the Dodgers staff, pitching staff. Dustin May looking to start things off right and hot, and don't blink or you'll miss Joc Pederson, of course, doubling down the right field line to score 2 runs in the first inning. Dustin May, though, settles in just fine. And then that's going to take us to the 6th inning, where the Dodgers have bases loaded, no outs. Now, for maybe every other fan base, this is an exciting moment. For Dodgers fans, you know where I'm going with this. Chris Taylor strikes out. James Outman swinging bunt. They get the force out at home, and Miggy Rowe also strikes out. So bases loaded, and the Dodgers don't score a single run. Hooray. Evan Phillips comes in the 8th. our most consistent, the Dodgers' most consistent relief pitcher from last year, and he gives up a 2-run bomb to David VR. And when you don't think it can get any worse for Evan Phillips, he goes back to back with longtime Giant Brandon Crawford, also hitting a home run off him. And the Dodgers literally just can't get anything going on offense, and they lose and drop this game 5-0. I want to focus on this game more than the first because it's like when things are going good, it's easy to talk and just say, yep, this is what it should look like. But when things are going tough, you start analyzing small moments in the game. And I want to pick out a couple because I think that these are also moments that have been issues since last year and the early part of this year. There's still issues. So this isn't just me trying to nitpick. This is like these have been problems. So let's go back to the 6th inning with bases loaded, nobody out. There's a right-hander on the mound, and you have Chris Taylor, who has not been swinging the bat very well coming up. Max Muncy's sitting on the bench. I understand that up to this point, he hadn't been hot, but literally 24 hours ago, that man went deep twice. And you have a right-hander on the mound. Seems like a good time to go to Max Muncy. Dave Roberts did say he had liked what he had seen from Chris Taylor the couple of games before, so he wanted to stick with him. Okay. So he's going up against Jacob Eunice, and this guy cannot find the strike zone. I mean, he cannot hit the broadside of a barn. The first pitch to Chris Taylor literally almost hits him. Okay? What does Chris Taylor do? He follows up on the second pitch by swinging over a strike that was like 2 inches out of the zone. It was never a strike to begin with. Then he looks at a sinker like middle, like doesn't swing his bat at all. And then he swings over another slider that is so far down and away that he had no chance of getting it unless he grew about 4 inches and his wingspan grew another 8. He had no shot at this ball. And it is arguably one of the worst at-bats I've seen from Chris Taylor, and I think he'd be the first one to admit it. And he looked visibly frustrated after this at-bat. But it's a situation where I don't think Dave is putting his guys up for success in this moment. I'm not a big fire Dave Roberts guys. But I'll get to this point in a second. Because even if Dave liked what he had seen from CT, okay, well then why not pinch hit from Miguel Rojas? Miguel Rojas has also not been hitting the ball very well. Dave doesn't really know Miguel Rojas all that well. I mean, not as much as he knows CT. You know, CT's been around for forever. He's Dave's guys, and Dodger fans all know Dave goes to bat for his guys. Miguel Rojas is not one of his guys necessarily. We know he's a great clubhouse leader. I'm sure him and Dave have a great rapport, but Miguel Rojas has not been swinging the bat very well. I don't know if Dave's seen something in Miguel Rojas' swing that literally no one else has seen. But why not pinch hit Max right there? You know, you take Miggy out, CT slides to short, Max just goes in at third base. Mathematically speaking, is Max going to get out? Yes. But does it put the Dodgers in a chance to win? Yeah, absolutely. Because at this point, you're down 3 runs. Max Muncy hits a double. You know, I forget who was on first base, but you at least score 2, so you're only down 3-2, and then maybe you bring in Max or Evan Phillips in instead of Gratterall in the next inning. You know, you see what I'm saying? Is it all kind of cascades, and I'm not trying to slippery slope fallacy this, but this is it's a turning point in the game, and I think the Dodgers need to put their players in a slightly better position, because these small moments are going to be magnified this year, because the Dodgers don't just have the raw, ridiculous, over-the-top talent like they used to. This year the Dodgers are really betting on some guys, betting on a Chris Taylor bounce back, betting on some young guys, which the Dodgers haven't done since Corey Seager, Jock Peterson, and Belly. And I mean, those guys hit, and I mean, look what it did, you know. But without the Trey Turners and you just without Gavin Lux to like bring up the bottom of the lineup, without that kind of top end talent, got to get better on those in these edge cases, or at least look like they're trying to get better. And I mean, it's not like Dave wasn't okay with Max Muncy pinch hitting, because he literally pinch hit him the next inning, or in the 8th inning, and that's where I want to go to next. You pinch hit Max Muncy in the 8th inning for Trayce Thompson with literally no one on base. You're down 5-0 at this point, and now we start pinch hitting. Why not earlier? And then Jason Heyward goes into pitch in the 9th. Again, with no one on base. There's no threat. Like, what is Jason Heyward going to do in that situation that the guy he's pinch hitting for couldn't have done any better? If this was, again, the 6th inning, you like the lefty versus righty matchup, or, you know what I mean, you're trying to maximize an on base there. Yeah, I totally get it. When the game's closer, sure. But when it's 5-0, you only have 3 outs to give. I don't know. Maybe Jason Heyward's a rally starter. Haven't seen that yet. 5-1 versus 5-4 doesn't make a huge difference. So I'm not really sure what was happening there, but it's just questionable. And I'm never gonna be necessarily a fire Dave Roberts guy, but I think this year his managing decisions are going to be more impactful than they have in the past. So, buckle up and get ready for that. No matter which side of the aisle you lay on. If you're a big Dave Roberts fan, get ready for to hear it from the other side that, Dave's the worst manager we've ever seen. And if you're not a Dave Roberts fan, get ready to have, a heart attack every night with various bullpen decisions or instances like this. The one thing that did almost come up in this game, which would have been really funny, had the Dodgers tied this game, who was going to play second or shortstop? They pinch hit for Miguel Rojas and CT. So both the shortstops are gone. Leads me to believe that the Dodgers are okay with Mookie Betts playing shortstop, at least for a half inning, if not a little more. Maybe not to start a game there, but maybe they're cool with him, doing a half inning. It's either that or they didn't think Heyward would do anything and they didn't think the Dodgers could come back. Again, at which point, why are we pinch hitting? So I like to believe the Dodgers are okay with Mookie playing shortstop. And one last note about this game. I was watching it live, and I've watched all these games live, but this one was funny. The mic kept picking up. He was over they kept picking up some crowd noise, and you could see who it was. It was behind home plate, like barely down the first baseline, and it was just hilarious. The comments were hilarious. I think we should have that every game, or we just got to thank Oracle Park for being, not completely full. Let's move on to Game 3 and see if the Dodgers can take it in a rubber match with Clayton Kershaw on the mound versus Alex Cobb. It is Kershaw Day, so congratulations to everybody who celebrates. Unfortunately for Kershaw, though, absolutely nothing goes his way in the first 2 innings. He gives up 2 singles that have an expected batting average of .69 and 220. J.D. Davis scores a guy on a sac fly. Darren Ruff, newly brought up, historically does not do well off Kershaw, hits a ringing double to straightaway center to get the second run across, and the Dodgers are quickly in a 2-0 hole. Bottom of the second, Joey Bart bunts his way aboard. We got a catcher bunting, folks. Don't see that every day. Thankfully, though, it's not going to matter because Miguel Vargas is going to field a ground ball, and oh, wait, no, he isn't. And Joey Bart gets to second base, and nobody's out. So now we have first and second, no outs. Wilmer Flores singles to first and drives in Joey Bart. Giants lead 3-0. In the fourth, we start the inning off with a double. Who starts the inning off with a double? JD Martinez starts the inning off with a double. Oh, wait, nope, he's extending that to a triple. It's a second triple of the road trip. Equals his entire triple total for last year. The broadcast had a funny bit where he's actually very fast for his size. I think they said there's only a couple of guys on the team that's faster than him. But when he was rounding second, man, he looked like he was trying. And I applaud JD for the effort there. James Outman stays winning, drives JD in with a single into right field. Couple of singles by Peralta and Miguel Rojas set Mookie up with first and second and one out, and Mookie delivers to score Peralta. Unfortunately, Miguel Rojas came up cramping, it looks like, on his way to first, so CT was in the game for him pinch running. I'm not sure if it was – I didn't look at the replay if CT couldn't have gone from third. Hopefully he's all right. Or I don't know if CT3 didn't get the wave around from Dino or what happened, but he stopped at third. And obviously, I hope Miguel Rojas is okay. I imagine the Dodgers are being overly cautious with him because he's coming back from a groin injury. This gives Freddie Freeman an excellent opportunity to do some serious damage, but my goodness, everyday center fielder, household name Bryce Johnson robs Freddie of extra bases and the Dodgers of 2 runs with an absolutely incredible catch in center field. My goodness, web gem if they still do that. I don't know if SportsCenter still does. He unfortunately did have to leave after that. He had a nasty collision with the wall. I hope he's all right. Crazy shot. He came up and he had his hat off, and you could just see where the brim of his hat was digging into his skull. So that was kind of nasty. All right, I gave you guys all a break, but grab your shot glasses again because Max Muncy can't stop hitting bombs. He does it again, straightaway center to tie the game up 3-3. If you're a Dodgers fan, that's a celebratory shot. If you're a Giants fan, that one's just to take the sting off what's coming up next. Taylor Rogers and the twin of Tyler Rogers. Don't know if you know that. I don't think Taylor Rogers nor Tyler Rogers can get to the mound without that being brought up. Just like Clayton Kershaw. I don't know if you know this, is best friends with and went to high school with Matthew Stafford. But anyway, Taylor Rogers struggles in the 6th inning. He walks 3 straight batters to load the bases, and here we go again. Wait, but this time, Freddie Freeman's up to bat, and he's going to go 15 pitches. He's just fouling off ball after ball. In a 15-pitch at-bat, Freddie wins with a walk to give the Dodgers a 4-3 lead. Will Smith sac fly scores CT, and look who's coming aboard. You guessed it, and tell me if you've heard this before. Max Muncy goes yard again. If the Giants went public tomorrow, Max Muncy would be the majority shareholder because he owns the Giants. Trace Thompson, late in the game, says, "Hey, wait, wait for me." At the end of this road trip, he hits a 2-run bomb of his own to give the Dodgers a 10-3 lead, and that's 10 runs, more than enough this time around. There's a couple singles and a garbage time home run to finish this game off 10-5, but the Dodgers do ultimately take the series against the Giants and end the road trip on a high note. Hopefully that plane flight's a little more jovial than the one that brought them there. A couple quick notes about this game. I wanted to highlight James Outman had a really good at-bat against Scott Alexander, the left-hander. He saw at least 7 pitches and ended it with a single. James Outman just continues to impress. I mean, obviously we know the power's there. Every time he hits the ball, I swear to God, I think it's a double at least. It ends up in somebody's glove, and I'm like, how is that even possible? but his at-bat quality is what impresses me the most. He doesn't chase outside the zone. He really makes the pitcher come to him. And I know he's older for a rookie. He's 26, I believe. But from a guy his age and this early in his MLB career, like he hasn't seen much MLB pitching. His plate discipline is really impressive. And that is going to play up. That's going to be a weapon in the future. And I hope he continues to get opportunities left, right, doesn't matter. I want to see him in center field every day. Give the kid that opportunity, because the less he has to think about who's on the mound, left or right, or, where am I playing today, center or left, you start removing those variables and he can start focusing on some of the contents and just going out there and being a ball player. Who knows where he could go, but it's just been really impressive. In the same vein, that 15 pitch at bat from Freddie, it's just his compete, as Dave would say. It's just a treat to watch. I'm a poet who didn't know it. And it's so nice because as Dodger fans, we're used to, Corey Seager batting third. And I mean, sometimes it was like blink and he already struck out. He was so aggressive at the plate. Trey Turner could occasionally have that same thing where chases a slider down and away and you're like, well, he's out already. But that's just not the case with Freddie. Every at-bat, it's like he's got a chance. Doesn't matter who's on the mound. Doesn't matter what is happening around him. When the lineup can be so volatile, especially this year, when you have guys like CT struggling and Miguel Rojas struggling, to have just this anchor point, it's in the two hole. Just have this anchor that just the constant that is Freddie Freeman is such a blessing, and it's so nice to watch because when he does get his opportunities, you really think that the best outcome can happen when Freddie's on up to bat. So I just wanted to give him a quick shout out because he actually didn't have that great of a series. It wasn't his best. I mean, yesterday he went 0 for 5, but still, every at bat he grinds, and you start upping pitch counts. Other guys can see the pitches as they're being thrown to him. Whether it's Will Smith or JD Martinez, whoever's behind him. I can't say enough about how good it is and how much fun it is to watch Freddie at bat. And obviously, it's Kershaw Day, so we have to highlight Kershaw a little bit. But I don't know what else there is to say. He's, King Kersh. He's, the best to do it. But I think today I wanted to focus on his veteran leadership. Wow, that was a voice crack and a half. 1 moment. He struggled early, and for all intents and purposes, it wasn't really his fault. I think off the bat, both those singles, I think the fastest one was 78 miles an hour. And I mean, they just dropped in. It's just like this one patch of grass that couldn't be defended. And it happened twice. And, Darren Ruff, who Kershaw's historically owned, smacks a double off him in his first major league at-bat of the year after struggling so mightily in New York. That could get to a more inexperienced, a younger pitcher, just that frustration. And also the frustration of the strike zone was miserable tonight. I don't remember the name of the umpire, but my goodness, it was not good. That thing was on wheels. And Kershaw gets down in a 3-0 hole in the second inning. Miguel Vargas can't come up with the double play ball. So instead of, facing the minimum batters, now all of a sudden he's got first and second, no outs. And they end up scoring, like I said, to give the Giants a 3-0 lead. And what does Kershaw do? He just shoves. He just says, screw it. He goes out there. I think Joe Davis said at a point after that second inning, he faced more than the minimum once. And I think that was on a walk. So, I mean, he buckled down, shoved, and he gave the Dodgers every opportunity to win the game. Like, he put the team on his back effectively and just said, yeah, we're in a 3-0 lead, but it's not going to get any worse. And that's real veteran leadership, and it shows grit that sometimes I think it's hard to see on a baseball field. And I know Dodger fans love to talk about how the Dodgers don't like coming back or like to come back in games, or, you know, the team's soft occasionally. I mean, I'd like to remind everybody that I think the Dodgers had the most comeback wins all last year, but that's neither here nor there. But that grit on the mound is always visible, and it resonates. And even Max Muncy in his post game with Kirsten Watson said that Dave tried to take him out, and Clayton said, "No, it's me. I've got these guys." And Max said that everyone in the dugout felt that, and that's something that I don't think gets talked about with Kershaw enough. It's kind of, you know, the same reason we don't talk about Freddie enough, is because he's so good at what he does, and Clayton's that and more, because of how long he's done it and the peaks he's reached, that sometimes it gets taken for granted. So really impressed with Kershaw tonight. You know, his stat line wasn't, you know, super sparkly. He went 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Like, that's not like the most insane Kershaw day, but just his demeanor on the mound and being able to basically pull the team with him and say, "No, guys, I got you. Just, you know, I got this. You guys just do your thing and don't worry about anything else." It's just, you absolutely love to see that. Some overall takeaways from the series. This was a small criticism I had with the Diamondback series, is the Dodgers offense, and I kind of reeled back on this after the Diamondbacks, because I was like, well, I don't know if it's so much the Dodgers are slow as much as it is the Diamondbacks are just really fast. But the Dodgers offense can be a little stale. And what do I mean by that? A perfect example is Miguel Vargas today gets on second after a throwing error by Alex Cobb with 1 out, and their Dodgers are down 3. Why not try and get him to steal third? Like, this isn't a situation where you're trying to protect a lead. We need to get a lead. The Dodgers need to just get on the board. Maybe we should try and steal third there, you know, or put the ball in play. You know, you could have David Peralta, left-handed batter, see if he can just bunt up the first base line and get Miggy to go to third. He's fast. He can do it. We saw it last year. And it's just those small things. I mean, even the Giants, they had Joey Bart bunting. I'm not a big, you know, bunt guy, but it's just that creativity on the base paths. I think the Dodgers are lacking that in the early parts of this year, and it was kind of an issue last year too. I think it was masked a bit because we had Trey Turner just running with his hair on fire on the base paths, but this year we don't. And so when you get a guy like Miguel Vargas on base, I think they got to give him a little more leeway, a green light a little bit more often to see if he can make something happen. And I want to be known, I was totally cool with sending Outman later in the game, even if he did get thrown out. I'm fine with that. I'm just glad they tried. I think it's something that they need to at least show teams they're willing to do. And maybe it's just they don't want the young guys to go because they're not getting good reads off the pitchers, or, you know, they're not timing that up well enough. Or maybe the Giants pitchers were working faster than it seemed. You know, the home to the, you know, from the start of the windup to home plate was faster than it looked. But I think the Dodgers need to try and cause a little bit more chaos on the base paths, because I think right now nobody respects them at all. So I'd like to see moving forward, maybe this series against the Cubs, although there's a couple lefties on the mound, so maybe not. See if we can get some more steals from the Dodgers, because it's kind of becoming apparent that the Dodgers rely on, you know, singles, walks, home runs, which are all good things I'm totally fine with. But having that other club in the bag that, you know, hey, if we get X guy on first, we can move him into scoring position really quickly. Um, I think that's something that's going to be valuable down the stretch. Um, the bullpen didn't look too terrible. I already mentioned Alex Vesia earlier. I really liked what I saw from him, even if he did give up 3 singles. Again, in the same way Kershaw kind of did it, just to bear down and just start gunning dudes and just get two quick strikeouts, get out of the jam. I think that says a lot about Vesia, and I'm, like I already said, I'm hoping he finds that turning point. Evan Phillips looked great tonight. He gave up a single and then said, "Screw this, I'm like, singles are for suckers," and he just struck out the next 3 batters he faced. And his slider looked filthy tonight, and he was dotting his fastball. I mean, it looked like Evan Phillips. And it seems like almost all the Dodgers found something or can take something from this series moving forward. Mookie Betts got on track. He looked really good. Max Muncy, obviously. James Outman had some good at bats against some left-handers. The bullpen looked good. Starting pitching for the most part. Actually, the starting pitching looked great. Dustin May bared down, struggled early, looked great for the rest of the game. Kershaw did the same. Julio, starting pitching looked good again. It seems like everybody had something to build on. So, this is as get right of a series as you could almost have outside of game 2, which I'm overlooking a little bit because sometimes baseball happens. And that's just what I'm going to chalk that one up to. It's either that or the Giants' rotation and bullpen are the greatest things ever. With that, I want to look at highlight 2 players for the series and one that might need a little improvement. Max Muncy is the obvious first choice. He went 5 for 8 with 4 homers, 11 ribbies, and started only 2 games. Imagine if they started him in the 3rd game, or technically game 2, but the third game of the series. It's one hell of a way to hopefully break out of a slump. I'm excited to see what he looks like. He went back to that step back. So excited to see what he looks like going forward. Mookie Betts quietly had a good series. It wasn't a loud series from him, but he just kind of did Mookie things. He went 4 for 12. He walked 4 times, and then he had a double and a homer. It's just Mookie Betts being Mookie Betts. Love to see that from him. And this is just a little needs improvement. And this is just, I'm not trying to harp on this as in, we need to DFA this guy. It's just more of, maybe he just needs a little TLC from everybody, a little bit of positive vibes sending his way. It's going to go to Chris Taylor. He went 0 for 9 with 6 strikeouts. I will say he definitely needs some TLC. It's going to be tough to carry him all year. Obviously, his defensive versatility speaks for itself, but just like how those moments from Dave, when to pinch hit, when to bring a bullpen gets amplified or magnified because we don't have that top end talent, it's going to be tough to carry a guy who's, batting 180. He's not even batting. He's batting half that right now. Batting 180. It's going to be tough to carry that all year when that top 10 talent doesn't exist. But I hope nothing for the best from CT. He has been a great Dodger. I think he knows as well as anybody. Dave said, since there's some left-handers on the mound coming up against the Cubs, that Chris Taylor's going to get his opportunities this upcoming weekend. So, hey, maybe he gets back at Dodger Stadium. We get the day off tomorrow, gets his mind off baseball, or maybe he goes to the cage and just tries to, solidify some things. I don't know what he does, but hopefully that off day is beneficial for him. It is a new series. Would love to see CT bounce back and have a good day. I also want to give myself a pat on the back a little bit. I said we needed Kershaw to go long today because the bullpen was a little taxed. I said that in my daily game preview. So check those out. Make sure you're checking those out because I always give little tidbits of what we could look for in the game or what we need to see or any other fun trivia, stuff like that. He did go 6 innings. The bullpen, like I said, looked great. And didn't need to tax them too much. Yancey looked a little shaky, but that's all right. Phil Bickford came in, gave up a homer. Who cares? It was trash time. So day off. Dodgers should be back, fully loaded. Everybody's rested up. Excited to see what we do in this homestand against the Cubs and the Mets. There will be no video from me on Thursday. As I record this, it is 1 a.m., so there won't be any video technically from me later today. But catch me on Friday with the Cubs, and we will see you then.